You know, there's been a lot of hate towards Blizzard recently, broken patches, things going wrong, too much time-gated stuff. But at the end of the day, they're doing their best, all right? They're trying to make the game better. We got to be a little bit more positive. Blizzard know they got it wrong, and the changes are here. That's right. Blizzard's doing their best. They're making the changes they need to change. Let's see what Bellular has to say in a positive way about Blizzard today.
Welcome back to the news, everyone. Today, it is a little bit spicy. Blizzard have gotten some people worked up this week with some of the planned changes to the game. You could very much say that history is repeating itself, but there is actually quite a lot of good stuff nested in, especially towards the back of the show. Okay, time to start the intro and just start talking about it. Timewalking then, and honestly, this is kind of mixed news. So, if you've been availing of a certain trick, if you've been a bit naughty, power leveling characters every time Timewalking comes up, I've got bad news for you. But if you wanted Timewalking to be something more than just holding the W key through all dungeons with no effort, then this might be good news. So, with BFA Timewalking coming in 11...
But does anybody want that? I don't know. Was there a call for this stuff to be better? I don't... Or harder? I don't know. Timewalking for me has always been a fun little nostalgia trip. You do it real quick and you end it. Now they do want to up the item level of the gear that's dropping from them. They want to make them more difficult. Okay. I think it'd be more fun if maybe they gave us some cooler, I don't know, more relevant Timewalking raid content. I don't know, Timewalking Mythic Plus might be a cool thing one day. But overall, just making the regular Timewalking a little bit harder, I don't know if I wanted that. I don't know. But we're getting
it. They are taking the opportunity to scale up the difficulty, also that you can play a, quote, more authentic experience and perhaps, practice actually playing your class. So to make all this happen, Blizzard have increased health pools across all the Timewalking dungeons, especially boss health. And they're also fixing how low gear scales, so that lowbies will be tankier, but geared characters will be a bit more squishy. And most likely here, and one of the main targets, will be nuking Twinks from orbit. No idea if the nerfs will hit the otters and the bears, but anyway, basically, item level scaling is going to account for your enchants, your gems, and all things like that.
Yeah, and so goodbye Twinks. Twinks are done. That's right. Back to the nether with you.
A bit out of the loop here, so to catch you up, there was a strategy of
I really didn't know until this that the Twinks are still a thing. Like, people love to twink Timewalking. Why? What's the pleasure they get out of it? I don't know. They're going for like rare transmog items or something. They're a necessary part of the game.
XP locked level 11 characters into Timewalking.
I don't know what to say about that.
It was quite crazy.
I think we're talking about different kinds of Twinks,
Warrior,
but that's okay.
And it would lead to just one-shotting the dungeon at full speed. It was crazy, and it was all made possible by gems and lifesteal enchants being way, way, way too strong. Now, what this led to was extreme leveling speeds and insanely fast weekly clears to get your raid gearbox, which was all pretty good. So that'll really not be a thing, it seems. Now, in return for all of this, Blizzard are bringing buffs. They're buffing the badge reward from 10 to 25, and they're increasing the gear reward from Explorer up to Adventurer. Of course, Adventurer is, nice, but mostly useless, especially.
Oh, this is what I was talking about with the gear upgrades from the Delves and everything else, but this is for Timewalking. Explorer to Adventurer. It's still alt gear, though, at the end of the day. I mean, no one's going to go do Timewalking and level up their item level.
Oh, nice, but mostly useless, especially this late in the season. And I'm kind of mixed here, right? Because I think nobody I know does Timewalking for fun or for gear. Alt gear is easier to get elsewhere.
Do it for transmog.
Right? And then there's the XP. You'll have noticed that Blizzard have not decided to buff XP in line with the other nerfs. So if that's not buffed to compensate for the time loss, then overall this could end up just feeling like a nerf. Now, to be clear, I get Blizzard's idea here. They want Timewalking to be something that you can actually play instead of borderline AFK brain-off stuff. They want players to feel that.
I mean, look, there's a lot of good content, a lot of good old dungeons in this game that could be a lot of fun. But to be honest, the best way that they bring back old dungeon content now in the game, to me, is putting them in Mythic Plus rotation. And I've been calling for it for a little while. I'm like, give us Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus. You want to make all these old dungeons relevant again? Put them in a Mythic Plus rotation. We're seeing that now. We got some BFA dungeons coming and everything else in these Mythic Plus rotations. But I would love it as Shadowlands too. Yeah, people love that. But I really want to see some of these older ones. They'll need reworking, obviously, because they weren't built with Mythic Plus in mind, but I would love to see a Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus, a Dead Mines Mythic Plus. Like, that's how you really make the old content relevant again. Timewalking, to me, is just more of a casual thing. It's just, you do it. You get a transmog. Maybe there's an event going down, so you do something else. They're going to have the really cool, I'm sure he's going to talk about Time Cat and Hooktail, the mount. You're going to be able to get that. So there's fun reasons to do time walking, but to do it for a challenge, no, that's not one of the reasons.
That if they do more damage, they will actually get a faster dungeon. They want the mechanics to actually matter. And I think we can all agree, basic game design says that those are important things. And I'd say that's probably part of the overall plan here, as well with the add-on changes in 11.1.7. It's all stuff to make sure that people can actually engage with the game mechanically, even if it is with the one-button assistant. But let's be real, this is a nerf to what most people actually use time walking for. And that means if you go to the forums, or dare I say the Wowhead comments, yes, people are already up in arms about this because they completely see it for what it is. It's a threat to their efficiency. Blizzard probably, if they want to smooth over some of that, will need to buff the XP just a little bit and maybe make the weekly take 3 time walking dungeons instead of 5. That way, I think they'll get most of the benefits that they want without most of the damage that at least a sizable chunk of the players actually seem to feel. Though, at least with how many people, my own guild included, genuinely enjoyed setting up twinks to boost each other through time walking to, badge farm and do the weeklies, I think Blizzard ought to think about why people actually want to do that. There's like a real urge there, and I think it's not just to break the game, even though that's obviously fun. I think people kind of want their gear and their character setup to matter in contexts other than WoW's hardest content. Yeah. And this thing with time walking and twinks was
it's a classic MMO core ideal, is that the more geared you become, the better you become at the game. The more you play the game, the more powerful you're supposed to feel in all aspects of the game. If you get nerfed in any single part of the game, it just feels like shit. Especially when you're walking around geared out like a god at the end of an expansion. You know why that's usually fun? Because you're so overpowered. So if you go into any piece of content and Blizzard intentionally nerfs your power down, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't. Even PvP, that's always been a struggle for PvP. It's like, how do you keep gear in line and not have these geared out guys just one-shotting people? But the truth is, that's what they want. When you gear out in this game, you want to be able to walk around, letting it swing. It's hitting your kneecaps back and forth as while you walk around, just swinging and hitting your knee. And you know what I'm talking about. That's it. People want to feel cocked as shit at the end of an expansion, or even mid-expansion if they've gotten super geared. And they deserve to feel that way. That's what an MMO is all about.
To express that desire. It's a desire that doesn't really exist in other parts of the game that aren't, the main pillars. Anyway, that's it for this topic, but if the next topic is anything to go by, I'm pretty sure I'll be back with a new version of time walking changes in a week or two. Guess what, everyone? It's happened again. So, when we released our Nightfall guide, we calculated it would take about 90 Nightfalls to max out your renown. Now, we worked out that that's something in and around 24 solid hours of farming dailies and farming the Nightfalls. That seems to have been too much, and that's obviously what Blizzard thinks, because as of the last reset, all Nightfall reputation is doubled. Every single source grants 100% more, which means if you really do want those rewards, hopping into the odd Nightfall doesn't feel like a huge waste of time anymore. It's a massive buff. And if you're thinking this sounds familiar, yeah, you're right, it absolutely is. This has happened in basically every patch this expansion. A feature launches, it's too grindy, they speed it up. Like literally, at least since the anniversary patch, literally every single patch has had this, right? And if you're thinking, but what? This didn't happen for Undermine. No, it actually did. They doubled rep gains with the different cartels because the way it was initially.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like Blizzard just leaning too hard into time gating these days. That's what it is. They're just they're over time gating. I understand the proposition of not, launching a patch or a season and like you can get everything day one. That's probably not good for the game. But I feel like they've leaned too hard into time gating. And it's just kind of led a lot of people just say, well, I'm just not going to really try to get it anymore. And Blizzard sees that in their stats, so they try to then nerf it post nerfs to get people back into it, to say, hey, you can actually do this pretty easily now. Go do it. And then people finally do it.
Designed.
Also, there's like a whole thing where it's in our heads like, yeah, I'm not going to do it until it gets nerfed. Because we know this shit's coming now, because that's how it's been for a while.
Was absolutely unhinged, and I think the final numbers were upwards of like half a year. It was kind of crazy. So every single patch, what happens is this, and that means that a ton of your patch day effort gets invalidated. I try to take Blizzard's content, their ideas, their design seriously. That means whenever we make guides, we do it based on, the numbers that Blizzard actually ships to their paying customers. What realistically happens, though, is that if you play World of Warcraft and patch day, not only do you pretty much get an awful experience most of the time with patches being broken, but you also get a lot of your effort being invalidated by buffs that happen later on.
Sure.
And I really do wonder what's going to happen first. Will Blizzard learn to be less cautious, or will players learn to ignore content before it's buffed? Honestly, I think it's absolutely the latter, at least if the state of player apathy that I'm sensing around these things is anything to go by. Now, there's another nice upshot to this, at least. The weapons and the shields are now all on the vendor to buy instead of only appearing as random drops. So that will let you finish off your transmog. And overall, look, this is a good change, right? This means this content is actually worth doing. But it's absolutely a symptom of Blizzard struggling to keep pace. And look, I really don't want to have to make another, hey Blizzard, the quality of the game that you're shipping to real people for real money when you're asking for their real time actually matters video again. I've had to do one of those videos for every minor patch this expansion. I mean, by now I'm fairly sure I'm in that part of like my own relationship with Blizzard cycle.
Patch day has been, it's been a shit show lately. I mean, this recent patch 11.1.5 was probably one of the worst versions of it, not only because we had everything was time gated, we didn't even get horrific visions or anything, and the piece of content that we did get, which was this Hallowfall Arathi content, this open world content, was completely broken and undoable, and it really broke servers for quite a while. So it's been tough. It's been tough for Blizzard. The sad part is I feel like this has masked the fact that a lot of the content has actually been good. It's been fun content. The game has been fun to play. Unfortunately, these issues have kind of taken the front lines of the news headlines. Because, if you read a piece of news that just says, WoW content is good, well, that's not going to really get views. So I'm not giving them any excuses. The patch launches have been bad. Hopefully they figure it out and make it better. But overall, I still think the content has been fun.
Where they stop sending me invites to things because I'm no longer useful. But guess what? Your subscription fee's no longer useful if you ship a shite day one experience to everyone, Blizzard. Congratulations. Shite. Please take it seriously. I'm glad you made this change with this reputation, but we should not be here in the first place. Seasons are about to change, and I mean this imminently because with the coming reset, you'll have to get ready for Turbo Boost. Turbo Boost is Blizzard's latest experiment. It's a way of them giving Season 2 a second lease of life, and a much faster one. So I'll quickly run you through all of the changes. Number 1, Dinars are coming. That gives you 1 free raid item or Mythic Plus trinket of your choice this week, and then 2 more unlockable over the next while as you do the related quests. Right. All of your existing hero and myth gear will get 2 extra upgrade levels to spend crests on, and if you're lacking Valor Stones to do that, good news. Valor Stones are now warbound, so you can just funnel them in from your alts. And
at a 25% hit. Don't forget that. Valor Stones will take a 25% hit every time you transfer them between your Warbound characters. Still not, it's not horrible because at least you can do it now. You can move them, so that's good.
If you've somehow hit crest caps, then, well, good. Crest caps are also removed as well, so you can just farm out to max up your upgrades completely freely. Delves are also not being left out. This is where it's kind of interesting. So you'll find way more XP for Bran, you'll find more crests, more Valor Stones, and even better rewards from your Delver's Bounty. Then if you've got any crafted gear, you'll be able to dump crests into an augmentation matrix to recraft them with an extra 6 item levels. You will have to recraft sadly, though, which is going to be a massive goal sink. So unless you're actively pushing some crazy achievement, maybe only use this on new gear to save some cash for next season's crafting. Lastly then, you'll want to get your bags ready because Blizzard are also doubling the drop rate of Warbound gear. Yeah, doubling. Who knows, maybe selling all the Warbound pieces to the vendor will somehow make you money. But yeah, you're going to be absolutely swimming in gear for your alts. And what this basically is, right, is World of Warcraft's equivalent to the almost holiday period of school, right? You know, the part of school back in the day where your teachers would roll out the TV, you'd pop in a DVD or a VHS, and wouldn't do any studying. Yeah. At least that's what we did. So it's kind of like that casual bit at the end where no one really cares, just that, in this case, it's lots of gear and you can do a lot of damage. And that means for more casual seasonal players, this probably won't amount to much, but if you're still going deep, you absolutely love the gameplay right now, this will be an extra power spike to help you push harder. And I think where it will be real interesting is the transition into Season 3, when, well, a lot of people are going to be going in with an inflated item level relative to the norm. And that's not just because of Turbo. It's also...
They're pumping up the item level. They're going to give us the disc belt, which I'm sure he's about to talk about. And we're going to go in higher. The thing is, it's the final season of the War Within. So I'm hoping that it's just going to be a fun, balls to the wall, all out season, almost like a finale of BFA. We didn't even get Horrific Visions yet, and that's supposed to kick in too. So we're going to have a lot of these. We're going to get the Hellman chat from that. We're getting the disc belt. We got the Cersei circlet. Like, we're getting a bunch of best in slot items. We're getting the coins today to start, so you can start to get your best in slot trinkets from Mythic Plus and from raids. We're going in super powered. And I don't mind that. I like to be overpowered at the end of an expansion. I think that's what Blizzard's setting up here, is we are going to be powered to the fucking balls to the wall to finish out this expansion heading into midnight.
So because of the new Titan Disc Belt. Remember Cersei Circlet? I sure do. Well, Blizzard are actually taking another stab at a mid-season power spike item. This time it's called the Titan Disc Belt, and it's from Overcharged Delves, which are coming in 11.17. And I'll give you fair warning, because by the looks of things, you're going to need this for next season, though obviously that could change. So it starts off at item level 684, rather high. That's what it's at once you first piece it together, but then the upgrades take it even higher. Now currently we cannot hit cap to see what, well, the cap is, but we do know that it's got absolutely no secondary stats on it this
700 item level. That's the cap.
Time round. Instead, you basically just pick a series of procs to stick on it instead. And that means that depending how Blizzard balance this, it may be BIS into, like next season, or it may not be. We'll just have to see. I would say, hopefully, this is a fun power spike now, but it's not something you'll feel like you'll have to get early on in season.
Yeah, I doubt it'll carry over into next season. I think this is just like a season 2, we're overpowered heading into the next season kind of thing. I doubt it'll carry over the whole season, considering you're going to get a whole new raid with belt drops and everything else coming out. It would just make that slot completely unviable for the rest of the expansion. I don't think they want to do that.
Some pleasantly unambiguous news, because it's just good. So, Blizzard are actually sticking to their word with the cooldown manager. There are hot fixes already being pushed out, including this week, where Demon Hunters and Guardian Druids have got some minor but useful...
Nope. The powers on the belt are confirmed to work outside of Delve. So this is going to be a best-in-slot belt for everybody for the rest of the season.
...to how the cooldown manager tracks their stuff. Overall, this is a small part of the work that Blizzard has actually got to do here, but that it's actually happening and hitting the game is a solid confirmation that they've got people working in this, which is extremely good. I think a lot of people thought it could be a little bit of the classic Blizzard fire and forget, but between this and the other things they're doing, like the rotation, the one button thing, the rotation assist, it seems they're actually taking this shit properly seriously, which is good. So props to Blizzard on that one. And before we go, here's what's going on in World of Warcraft this week. So we just hit our 6th spark last week, so there's going to be another half spark up for grabs this reset. You'll have a 6th catalyst charge that lets you get another bit of the tier set appearance, or just transmute an upgrade that's been left in your bags. In terms of events, it's rolling over to classic Timewalking, which you may want to make use of to power level some alts before the changes come and slow it down in patch 11.1.7. But there you go. That's it for the Warcraft news. I mean, some of the Warcraft news. Stay tuned to the channel. Stuff's crazy. There's the PAX East stuff. Legion Remix is confirmed. And,
nice.
We know a lot more about World Soul Saga and why the War Within is strange in a certain way. We know that from PAX East. But more on that next week. And if you want some nice lore to chill to, watch this video next.
Good video. Look, overall, yeah, mistakes have been made, but I do feel like Blizzard's trying. I don't understand the efforts to make time walking more difficult. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, like who would want that? But overall, I think a lot of these changes are good, and we're heading into the end of the expansion, guys. So a lot of these changes of overpowering everybody towards the end of this expansion, to me, is the right way to go. It's fun to get overpowered towards the end of expansion. Good video from Bellular.